Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I am the Maize Madman, and before we get started, hit that like and subscribe button and the notification bell because it doesn't cost you a dime for your boy to shine. Today we are discussing flip candidates, yes, both from Michigan and to Michigan, plus why the other state is in trouble because Gene Smith leaving that university is a big deal. All that, and of course, I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully, but disrespectfully, it's disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans, poor little bro, man. And I'ma tell them where I'm at. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus, the other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset. So, I'm sure you guys heard the intro and are probably wondering why I'm not beginning with one of those topics, but we just got a bit of breaking news here at the Triple M Studios. It appears that head football coach Jim Harbaugh will escape suspension at all in the upcoming season and will be able to coach all 12 games this season. Jim Harbaugh with his strongest team, probably able to coach all 12 games. It looks like the decision of the negotiated suspension broke down, and this according to Yahoo Sports' Dan Wetzel. Of course, got to give the source there. He said apparently an agreement between the NCAA and Michigan football coach Jim Harbaugh concerning penalties stemming from what the NCAA deemed to be false statements Harbaugh made to investigators is broken down. Harbaugh and the NCAA had to come to a tentative resolution that would see the coach serve a 4-game suspension to begin the 2023 season. A number of former assistants were also sanctioned. The deal needed to be approved by the NCAA's Committee for Infractions, and many thought that would be a formality. However, hurdles arose. The deal is now off, which is great news for Michigan. It's great news for Michigan fans, Michigan players. Not so great for the rest of the Big Ten, and definitely not so great for the ECUs in those first 4 games of the season. Not to say that it would have been great news if he'd been suspended anyway. They were going to lose, bottom line. That being said, the NCAA, as I have pointed out, is an antiquated joke. The fact that Jim Harbaugh was even going to be suspended for a level 1 violation stemming from, I know that this isn't what caused it, because there's going to be some Ohio State fans, there's going to be some fans of some other university that are going to point out that, oh, that's not, he wasn't going to get suspended for the cheeseburger. We understand that. We're not remedial. You're not dealing with an uneducated fan base. We understand that. We also understand that it stems from a cheeseburger, right? And the fact that Jim Harbaugh didn't lie necessarily, but just didn't care to answer the NCAA's questions. And they were butthurt about it, and they decided he needed to be suspended. However, as I just spoke about, that won't be happening at least this season. But we need to get to other news. Let's move on. Let's get right to it. The other state is in the process of, they got some transition going on over there. Right now, they don't have a president. Right now, their athletic director of 20 years nearly announced his retirement next season, right? Which will come one day before Oregon and Washington officially join the Big. I'm just calling it the Big because it certainly isn't the Big Ten, as the conference is now up to 18 member schools in 2024. So keep that in mind. He will be will be retiring, stepping down as the Buckeyes athletic director. Gene Smith, for all of the sucking that the other state does, and they do a lot, pause, Gene Smith has oversaw, right, the Jim Tressel era. During Jim Tressel's, in the Jim Tressel era, rather, during Gene Smith's first 6 years as the athletic director, the Buckeyes, unfortunately, won at least 10 games each of those 6 years. Of course, Jim Tressel stepped down for knowing about some NCAA violations, which, by the way, I don't agree with, and the NCAA is an antiquated joke. We'll just throw that in there again for good measure. He stepped down because players were, in essence, trading their likeness for things like tattoos and haircuts. It's ridiculous, and NIL now is just a slap in the face to those guys, the Terrell Pryors of the world, the Jim Tressels of the world. Even though I have no love for those guys, it still behooves me to be fair, and that was an unfair, unjust ruling and consequences for that university in Columbus, that vile, disgusting cesspool that is Columbus. However, he also brought on Urban Meyer, who is hated in Ann Arbor, hated around the country, really, not just Ann Arbor. He's not a great person. Let's start there. And he is, however, during his time with the other state, they had success. We'll say that. His first year, they go 12-0, but were unable to compete in a postseason bowl game or the Big Ten title because of the sanctions from the previous coaching staff and administration, right? But he did win the first ever college football playoff in 2014. That was under Gene Smith. Of course, he didn't go his entire tenure without some controversy. So we all remember the Zach Smith incident, and now Zach Smith is just all over the internet spewing his garbage. But anyway, we all know that. The point is, though, that I think that their fan base thinks that this is going to be some smooth transition from under the Gene Smith era. And I got news for you. It's not. Gene Smith, for all of the things that happened at that university during his tenure, kept the ship sailing. I hate to give any credit to that university or anybody at that university, but that guy kept the ship sailing, right? Onward and upward under Gene Smith and his tenure at that university. I say all that to say, if you're betting on team futures, don't put your money on the other state. They are looking for a president. They're going to be looking for an AD. Things are going to be changing in Columbus and not for the better. Shout out again to my guy, Antoine Johnson, for even sparking this idea for me to talk about Gene Smith and the rough road ahead for the Buckeyes. We move on. As we get into the final segment of this video, I got to remind you, it don't cost a dime for your boy to shine. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for me and the notification bell so you're aware every time I upload a video. Now, moving right along, Michigan 4-star edge Elias Rudolph has been crystal balled to flip to the University of Miami. Obviously, he played football at Deerfield, Florida. He has a Florida connection. He's from the state of Ohio originally. This was a great pickup for Michigan. Hopefully, this doesn't happen. It does look like it's going to, as 24/7 and On3 both have predicted and crystal balled Elias Rudolph, the 6'3", 200-pound edge rusher, to flip to Miami. This could only be caused by NIL. I'm going to be honest. A lot of the times I try to be neutral. I try to give the benefit of the doubt. There's no other reason that this guy flips from Michigan to Miami other than the bag. Show me the money. That's the only reason. This guy brought his family. He was emotional. He was excited to be a Wolverine. All of a sudden, Miami? Mario Cristobal in Miami, who've done nothing? It doesn't look bright. The future isn't exactly bright over there. I mean, I get it. It's Miami. It's a beautiful place. Beautiful scenery. I'll say that, right? You've been to South Beach. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That being said, the football program is not in the position that the football program is in at Michigan. It's not even close. What did Mario Cristobal, what could he sell him on? Maybe starting day one, maybe we're going to be back before Texas. Texas is still back. They've been back for 5 years, but they're not. Maybe Miami is selling hopes and dreams just like the Longhorns. I have no clue, but it's disrespectful. This would be, by the way, the second, and I believe in 2 years, right? The second in 2 years edge rusher, high quality edge rusher that Miami's been able to flip from the Wolverines, going all the way back to Akiampong. You guys remember that. I hope I'm saying his name right? And now Elias Rudolph. This one is disappointing in so many ways, and I don't believe it, but I do believe it. Let's move on to more positive news. Michigan, because they have the commitment of 3-star cornerback, former Purdue commit Josiah Edmond, right? They picked up that commitment last week. They are thoroughly back in the ear of Nitarian Tuggle, a.k.a. Nitro Tuggle, who committed to Georgia. They are fully in all hands on deck attempting to sway the opinion and flip the 6'1", 6'2" Nitro Tuggle. He is, as you can see on the film, a great athlete, shows good burst, shows great change of direction. If Michigan can do that, that would be excellent. He is considered a 4-star as well. I'll keep you posted as more information becomes available, but at this moment, it looks like Elias Rudolph will be flipping his commitment to Miami, which is very disturbing and very disappointing, but Michigan will be okay. That being said, I must bid you adieu. Until next time, my friends, stay angry. I'm upset.
Ladies and gentlemen, this might be our best season ever. My ratings, they're about to go through the roof.
All right, now I'm gonna calm down. So I'm gonna calm down, son. I just don't get that all that Maize and that lock and all that. I just don't get it, son, for real.
Just calm
and how the